Hi friends. I only have it looking like this so I can show you what color this shirt really is. The webcam seems to have gone nuts, and it only has yellow available, and I have it all the way, the white balance is all the way on blue. See, it has yellow and a little less yellow, and that's all that's available. So, and I think this is like, yeah, this is 2 megapixels, so this is supposedly HD. Oh well, I'm not going to let it worry me. I'm just going to go ahead and record and just give you an apology for the quality here. I don't know what's going on, but you know me, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay. I've been giving you my journals in the order they were written for a little while now, but I'm stepping out of that now. I wrote this one today, Sunday 7/7. It's the first one I've written in a little while, and the Mayan day is 7 Flint, and it's about joy. And it's timely. You'll see why as I read it. So I'm sharing it with you now. I am having such joyful, quiet fun. I thought I'd come to the journal and share and explore a bit. This will be an odd one, as I won't be sitting here and writing it straight through. Instead, I'm doing a first for me on a video editing project that's taking a long time for each step. So as I await the program completing those steps, I have some time in between, rather than check emails or just sit here in bliss. I did some of that. I thought I'd share a bit about my experience and some ideas about Mercury retrograde, which it is now. Joy is on me, is flooding in and through me for some reason, and I don't really care why. I'm just enjoying it tremendously. You wouldn't believe the number of challenges and setbacks I've been through so far on this project. I've spent double-digit hours working on things that just led to other things or dead ends, only to have to start back at square one over and over again. So stay in heart with me, please. I will give mind some few tidbits it requires to get a better picture of 3D goings on. But this is not really a mind thing, so let's stay centered so you can get the point, which would be the joy flame as well. There are many who won't do things or make decisions with Mercury retrograde. Now, this makes some sense and is rather historical, since Mercury represents the 3D, or the lower mind. The idea is that it's a good time to turn that mind inward, back upon itself, since this harmonizes nicely with what Mercury seems to be doing, going backwards or retrograde. And I'll explain retrograde motion at the end for those that don't know. So, of course, I'm doing this new and challenging project while Mercury is retrograde. And as I've said, many others would choose to wait those weeks until it returns to direct motion, since that's believed to make things go smoother. And there's evidence for that. That's why I said historical. Now, not saying I believe it or that I don't. Just sharing some basic and widely known info. Now, what is this project? As a lot of you know, if you've been with me a while, I really enjoy the essays of Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Self-Reliance is at the head of that list. For some reason, I wanted to record it. Now, there are many who don't care for reading, and it's a bit long. There are likely a number of recordings online, but so many use those mechanical voices, and that's not my style. So I made an audio recording. It took about 6 or 8 clips, and then went looking for what visuals or images to include so that it could be uploaded to my YouTube channel. Now, Art Fantasies had a great idea to use the visualizer called GOOM, G-O-O-M, which does really neat things with colors and shapes. So that was the basic idea. Now, it sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? I thought so. It's not hard to put an audio track with a video, not at all, and the audio track takes precedence over the video sound. So I didn't think I'd be stumped by this one, but I was. And I won't bother you with the endless challenges, but suffice it to say, GOOM doesn't make it into a recording. You can push the record button all you like. You just get to watch GOOM visualize while you re-record the same audio you're hearing, no matter what format, and I tried a few. So anyway, back into heart with you, please. I know that was a lot of mind stuff. There are many things that you used to do from the mind that you'll find can now be done while centered in heart. And the beauty of that, there are many beauties, but one beauty of that is that sometimes you just get covered in joy. So you get to sit there doing whatever is quite appropriate, yet with almost no thought and loads of joy. I talk about the capital H heart, the portal, a lot, but even the body's heart has lots of goodies. That's the spot where the heart math scientists discovered neurotransmitters. Well, if it can make brain chemicals, I suggest there's a good bit more along that line heart can do. People who centered in heart before taking IQ tests scored noticeably consistently better than those who did not. Interesting, huh? Now, not 100%, but you know, experiments don't return 100% results. So, why not give it a go? There's a few more belief weeds from the old days that we can pull up. Those beliefs that tell us only the mind can think. It's just not so. Not only the heart, but the gut too can do some of that. Neurotransmitter production there too. So science has some great new avenues available, and a few are exploring them. Meanwhile, though, we stick with heart, please, since your mind won't like what comes next. I've been doing what most would consider mental work, what I'm calling the Emerson Project, this recording, yet without resorting to mind at all, while being flooded with joy. So I'm sharing here what's possible, maybe to help out a bit with your gardening work. Once we know something is doable, well, that opens an important door for us. It's like not knowing what questions to ask a speaker since you don't know what it is you don't know. Well, that generally takes some time to discover. And yet, once you find out, then you're off to the races. You're up the next rung on the ladder, or ring on the spiral, the next phase. So simply knowing what's possible opens doors for us. Well, I'd like to convince as many as I can to plant one of my favorite flowers simply all over your garden. This strain is called Anything's Possible, and they bloom in every color of the rainbow and then some. Now this opens the door to all that you don't know, making it that much easier and quicker to discover things, since you've pulled up all the weeds in the way, the old programmed beliefs that say you're limited. My friend, you are not. Now, something else just came through to me, or came clear to me. You know how I've been saying, and Abraham Hicks agrees, along with Joseph Campbell and quite a few others, that the very best thing you can possibly do, that anyone can possibly do, is to follow our bliss? Well, something about that just clicked for me. And that may be the secret behind this joy. I don't know. What came through is that by being engaged in something you truly love to do, that you already enjoy, then it's no huge step to take it down into heart and do it from there. This may be the ideal combination, doing what you love while centered in heart. You see, I've been in joy before, even when doing tasks I didn't love. But that often takes a bit of effort. This takes none. That takes real focus. And this is just flow. Do you see the distinction I'm pointing out here? Abraham calls it being in the vortex, this joyful flowing. I call what I think it is the same thing as being in heart. But the bottom line is that there's no finer, no more wonderful, and no more powerful and effective thing you can do for yourself or for the world and all of life than being in joy, than flowing in bliss. Now, stay out of head with that one for sure. Mine doesn't grok it. Mine, poor dear, was taught that to do good, useful work, one must apply effort and labor at it. Mine must apply itself. Yeah, right. Well, in the old mind-centric way of living, that may have been the case, but not now. Oh no, things have truly changed. And it may be that they were this way all along, only it was hidden from us. I don't know. But what I do know beyond all doubt is that being in joy is the finest possible service anyone can offer to self or to life. More gets done that way, and done better than all the laboring and suffering can even imagine, much less accomplish. You see, joy magnetizes more of the same and spreads itself around. When you're in joy, then your frequency is coherent. The wavelengths are equal and balanced, and the troughs and peaks of the waves are too. This is the most powerful state to be in, whatever your frequency, to magnetize anything wonderful. It's tremendously creative. Now, it's also aligned with who you really are. It puts you in your vortex, per Abraham. And I know I've heard them say not to ever exert any effort at all unless and until you're in your vortex. I concur. That's what I'm doing here with this Emerson project, and it's working out great. Now, it's not just the project being created either. It's the light going out, linking up with all other light that's resonant with it, magnetizing, magnifying light. It's touching all hearts, since every heart is just one. It's bringing down, as it were, all the gifts and blessings tucked away in my vortex without asking for a single one of them. Now, this is how we can bring the empty cup, the non-seeking, non-asking, the non-desiring even, and offer that up. When following our bliss, engaged in something we just love to do, we can be in the joy flow, especially so if we just remember to center within. It's always there for us. Then we can ride that beautiful flow, only and simply experiencing joy as we go. Nothing else. My mind is empty of anything else when I'm working like that. So in each moment, what that moment calls for just naturally comes out and gets done. Now, the way this is going, it happens to be effortless. But if I forgot to center down, then maybe, even though I was having a really good time, the flow of joy might not be so intense. Then it might require a bit of effort, even just to remember to keep centering, something like that. Nonetheless, you're still in your vortex, as long as you're following or engaged in what brings you joy. Non-resistant. Now, this is just amazing. And may I remind you, there have been challenges and seeming barriers pretty much every step of the way in this project. And yet, the joy has been steady throughout. Nothing is dimming it. Nothing. If you're in heart with me now, then maybe this is the first time you can really grok what is meant when I say that everything brings only blessing. That you can even enjoy the challenges, the tough stuff. Do you see? The joy just carries you. So, let your only attention be to it. That's your responsibility, my friend, to be in joy, whatever it takes. Follow your bliss. Keep centering within. If your days seem too harried and hassled, well then, set aside half an hour somewhere in each day. In this time, you don't have to go for bliss. That would be asking too much. The contrast between the harried and hassled stuff and bliss is a bit much. Yet, how nice would it be to just have some real quiet time for yourself? This is not to think of what you need to do tomorrow or even later in the day. This is time just to get into heart and be. That's all. And just sit there in that sacred quiet. It's a time that will be mostly taken up by repeatedly ignoring your chattering mind for a while. But that's fine. It's just what is, you know, so don't fight it. Don't resist. Might I suggest you determine to even enjoy it? You can, if you make that choice. All such things may well sound crazy to mind, but my friend, that's good too. Why is that? Because that's your signal that you fell out of heart, and your sign that it's time to get back in. I am well and truly not kidding when I say that simply all things can be enjoyed, but you'll have to prove it to yourself. Just do recall that one requirement for that is to be anchored in heart, to keep centering down. That's why I suggest everyone make that a good, steady habit. Then the results will roll in by themselves. You won't have to do much of anything else. It amounts to the old self and now here thing. While centered in heart, there's magic in that. But that too you must prove to yourself. Don't take my word for it. Come in, find out. Now that reminds me of something else I wanted to share, just a little thing. Last night I was centering for a change in the Ajna chakra, the third eye. Yet I was still also centered in heart, so I wanted to say something about that. You do not have to restrict yourself to heart. I never meant to say that you had to be there exclusively, although I know that's what mind would hear. You see, heart is a very alchemical location. You can be there and also be somewhere else once you get the hang of it. I guess I wouldn't recommend this for newbies. For you, just develop the heart centering habit for now. Once that is good and solid, you can branch out. Until then, you won't be doing yourself any favors to try. You'll only be pushing things, and the cause of that can be found only in mind. Heart doesn't do it. So, remember how I'm all the time saying that when you enter heart, you're in superposition? Well, that's the case. So what that amounts to in this case is that I was centering in the third eye, but also very much present in heart. There's no duality there. None of this either or stuff. It's always both and instead. Now, no, that doesn't mean you can have your cake and eat it too, for cake is a very 3D sort of a thing. This isn't instruction for mind, and mind is the only one interested in both having and eating its cake. So, keep self-observing so you can watch yourself and know and more easily distinguish when it is heart speaking up and when it's mind, which will often pretend to be heart. Yeah, it'll do that. You bet it will. It's pretty smart. All of your goodies, all of your riches, all of your blessings, and everything worthwhile, I find only in heart, and only in now, nowhere else. All those goodies are being delivered to each one of us, quite literally every second of every day. So why don't we connect with it more? 3 guesses. But of course, when you're in mind, you are by definition not in the now. Mind is always in past or future. It doesn't center in now. It can't bear that. It says it gets bored, but closer to the truth is that it gets frightened by all this stuff. It can't understand. So keep an eye out to watch mind, but do it from heart. Mind watching mind, that makes no sense. Like setting the fox to watch the hen house, and about that useful. So, how are you doing with all of this? I'll tell you how, but be in heart to hear it. You're doing just fine. Actually, you're doing perfectly, no matter how it may seem to the conscious mind. Now remember, mind is no tool for this job, for anything at all spiritual. Its realm is strictly 3D, and that's not to say 3D can't be spiritual, but that's another topic. Also, remember that both gut and heart produce the same brain chemicals, neurotransmitters. So, clearly thinking is a much more well-distributed function than science yet acknowledges. They still think that consciousness is restricted to the brain, poor dears, though some of them are already light years beyond that, and thanks Source for it. It's about time we all woke up, not just the little people, but also those in charge of important things. Okay, now I guess I've about said myself out. And somehow, typically, it's about 1 a.m. Don't know what the magic is about the wee hours of the night or early morning. But for me, they seem to be journal time. I suppose it may have something to do with, well, first, everyone in my area being mostly asleep, so not all those conscious mind rackets of all the hamster wheeling being radiated out everywhere. Also, though, it likely has to do with the rays of the sun. They actually interfere with some things. But no matter, who the heck cares? It's just the that's important, not the why, not the how. Those tend to be the mind things, while the that is always in now. It's what is currently. That's its magic. So, let's all give over this concern over the why and the how of things. Are you willing to give that one a go? Give it a whirl? I know for some of you it would seem just too hard to let go of caring about why and how and only stick with that or with what is. Still, I know there are enough of you newly resident in heart most of the time, and you may well give it a go. I can tell you it pays off handsomely. You begin getting dividends in peace, deep peace too, right away, and freedom is hot on its heels. Oh, such freedom and peace can be had, and in such simple ways too. It turns out we're the ones driving ourselves crazy, not life, not our neighbor or the kids or the dog making messes, only us. We never knew it, so it's more than understandable, just not much fun to experience, chasing our own tail half the time. So, anytime you want to come out of that cycle of craziness, just come and be crazy like me in a very different way. One that will drive you to joy instead of driving you crazy. Hey, when you know first that anything is possible, and next that everything brings blessing, well, it's kind of hard to miss with it. The joy is just built in. Now again, I hope you can see how all of this very much depends on what you happen to have growing in your very own garden of belief, there in the subconscious mind, just out of conscious reach. That's okay, though. Remember that the conscious mind occupies all of about 5% of the total mind, so that's not so very much to corral, so it can turn around and be working for you instead of the other way around, as is typical for everyone else. Be in joy, my friends. Don't forget. Spend some time every single day simply devoted to joy. Nothing else. Nothing at all. Don't have goals about what it's supposed to accomplish for you, how it will make your life better, or get rid of this or that problem. Drop all of that stuff. It's mind chatter. And get back into now. Only the what, nothing else. No past stuff, no future stuff, only this. Only now here. Blessings to each and every one of you. Namaste. Now, as you can see, the video's still going, so I have that footnote I promised and 2 PSs. The footnote is on retrograde motion. Of course, planets do not go backwards. The whole retrograde thing speaks of their motion relative to ours and the sun. So, at a certain point in their orbit, depending upon our relative positions, from here it could seem to us to be going backwards. This is much like a train you are on, looking out the window at another train going the same direction but much slower, right next to you. It will appear to be going backwards, but it's got to do more with relative motion and speed. Neither train is going backwards, nor do the planets. Okay, now this is an important PS. Came to me after I wrote this. Anelia Benz has started a 21-day experiment, I just remembered, for being in joy. Those actively participating will be vlogging the experience throughout. You may want to join in that. Her website is ascension101.com. I will be joining by making joy a conscious target during these 21 days, which is unlike my way of just riding heart flow. So I will participate, just in my own way. I join Anelia in realization that we are the creator. The creators, my friends. Are we not divine? This means we can make a difference, a big difference. Though let's not do it for that, but just for the joy of it, okay? And remember, each time you enter into joy, you support everyone else in doing this. You, as it were, provide the wind in their sails and under their wings. So, enjoy that as well. Now, I didn't mention it here, but I don't think, but what she said is they are all devoting 1 hour a day, anywhere in the day, the hour of their choice, to being in joy. All right, PPS. Finally, when your every response is only joy to whatever arises, well, that deters the blue meanies and the green ones and the black ones and all of them from messing with you. When their purpose is only to get some negative energy for their meal, and when you won't cooperate with that, choosing joy instead, well then, they'll leave you alone in favor of other, more likely meal tickets. Just one last goodie to consider as you go about making your endless choices daily. See you later.